Hello, everyone. Welcome and welcome and welcome to another edition of Naked at Sunrise. It's a bright and beautiful sunrise Saturday in Lagos, Nigeria. And today we have a guest all the way from, I think she's in the United Kingdom at the moment. But today we have Tola Makinde as our guest on Naked at Sunrise. So please, as you come in, I'd encourage you to please begin to share and like the stream, share, so that everyone who needs to be in at this time can join us. And as you come in, yes, Fola Shadi, I can see you. Good morning. God bless you. Just call your friends, and if it's possible, cast this on your TV and have people come around and sit down and hear the stories of faith, vulnerability, and triumph. So, well, good morning, Mommy Fola. God bless you. Good morning, Victory Corner. It's a beautiful day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Yibola, for coming in. It's Naked at Sunrise. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Today promises to be power-packed, faith-fearing, and moving as usual, as it usually would be on Naked at Sunrise. My guest today is Tola Makinde. Just give me a moment. I want to take you and read her profile so that you can know that our guest this morning is not someone who hasn't been there. She's been there, she's done that. Not sure she's bought the ticket yet. She's still on that journey of buying a t-shirt. But she's on this journey. And the beautiful thing is that God is the one holding her hand every step of the way. And this morning we just want to say thank you to Jesus that he'll bring our way someone who is this deep. She's the founder of the More Rainbow Foundation, and maybe I should just keep it at that and not spend time reading her profile and let her come in by herself to get into this conversation with me. So please make welcome as my producer brings in our guest today, Tola Makinde, the founder of More Rainbow Foundation. Please make welcome with me our guest. Yeah, hey Tola, good morning.
Good morning, Ma.
Good morning.
Good morning,
It's a pleasure
everybody.
to have
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for obliging me that you would do this with us. God bless you. Welcome and welcome.
Thank you,
So
Ma.
I'll just give a background. I like to always, Dr. P, I can see Dr. Peter, our guest from the last edition, online with us already. But, I always like to read from the scripture why we do Naked at Sunrise. So when you go to Genesis 32, verse 30 and 31, it says, so Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face and my life is preserved. Just as he crossed over Peniel, the sun rose on him and he limped on his head. The idea of Naked at Sunrise is that the Son of God can rise upon you, and yet you would be moving on in your life with a limp. Men usually will see the limp, but what we do at Naked at Sunrise is tell our stories as effortlessly and as true as is possible, so that we can point them to the sun that has risen upon us. So the limb and the sun are not mutually exclusive. We always think that when the Son of God is risen on us, that it would mean that we will have no limbs. But from the Bible, I see that the sun and the limb are not mutually exclusive. And that's why we want to explore your story today. Again, welcome. Please tell us, who are you and why do you qualify to be on Naked at Sunrise?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Mr. Bidemi, for having me on your show today. My name is Tola Makinde, and I'm the Executive Director of More Rainbow Down Syndrome Foundation, as just said. I'm also the President of Safe Down Syndrome Incorporation. Well, I wear many hats. A mother, a disability, and that was how God kind of tried to redefine my life, redirect my steps, and change the course of my journey. Um, After I'd worked in the bank for 11 years, I had a daughter with Down syndrome, and then the rest, we can all see what I've been able to birth from that pain. And I started sharing my lemonade story in 2014, going from one house to another house after I had been after life had dealt with me, so to speak. Imagine someone that was like on a six-figure salary, and all of a sudden you're no more. You're just, I don't want to use the word jobless, because what was I was being faced with was what I never expected. I've not had any experience. I've had kids before my daughter, but I think that was how the story of my life just changed, and I began to ask questions. Why me, God? What have I done to deserve, my daughter? Before, when I didn't know, I would say, what have I done to deserve this type of child? You know, because that type of child, and that's what people would call those children that are just different, because we feel we can define what is normal. But I never knew God was, it was a blessing in disguise, and God had wrapped a gift in something that looks like a mess. And I began to share my story. I thank God because He strengthened me, to help me see the lights behind the tunnel. Let me stop there for now.
So tell me, you said you asked God why do you what you have done to deserve this kind of child. Let's again, for those who don't know, Moyi is Tola's daughter who has Down syndrome. If you just joined us, and Tola is out of that pain distilled the more Rainbow Foundation, a foundation that caters to children with Down syndrome, and special needs, but focus on Down syndrome. And she's done many things. Tola, from what I know, had to even change her career course. She stepped out from a lucrative job, what we call a six-figure job today. She went back to school to take training so that she could first care for her daughter, and now she's caring for other children. So when you ask the question, what have I done to deserve a child like this? Tell me, were you a believer?
Yes, I was. I mean, I'm a believer. I still am.
Mhm.
What happened actually was I was praying for a baby girl. This is me praying for a baby girl. When I first got married, for 4 years, I was praying for to have a child. I was waiting to have a child, and the doctors had said 50-50, they've done all they could do. So I had a boy, and another miraculous pregnancy that I didn't even know that happened so quickly. I had another boy, and now it was me saying, "Oh God, I just want a baby girl," just to wrap it up. So of course, and I believed that God would answer me, but in the labor room, I noticed the doctors were sad, because usually when I'm having my kids, I'm singing, I'm happy. Every woman will know that what you're about to behold is a miracle. But when my baby came, everybody looked sad in the room. The doctors were, she didn't even cry. And I knew there was a problem. Immediately, I knew there was a problem. And I asked the doctor, what is the problem? Where is my baby? He answered and said, they're trying to save your baby's life. Don't worry. And I could hear them, you know, um, um,
Pattern.
patting the baby. That's the word. And I heard my baby cry a few minutes after. But then nobody was saying congratulations. Nobody was smiling. Nobody was happy. Doctors were coming to my room, and I knew there was a problem just immediately. And guess what? I had to start asking questions. Why? What did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And church played another part that really broke me into pieces. And I thought, okay, how come? Where am I? How did I get here?
Tell me about the role that church played that broke you to pieces.
Okay, I think it was when I had my daughter. A week after, we were rushed back to the hospital. Um, for me, I was rushed back because that when I was discharged, okay, I was discharged about a few days after, about 2 weeks, between 2 weeks, between before 3 weeks, we had to rush back to the hospital because I started feeling very sick, and it was the diagnosis, the news I had been given. I could not deal with it. I could not comprehend. I was just confused. The family, we could. It's not a. It's not even the naming ceremony was as if we didn't, just low key and just waiting for what to happen. What would they say? Because they had told us a lot of things about she would have a she might have a hole in the heart. She might have this. She might be delayed. She will not be able to be like other children. I shouldn't expect too much from her. She may not be able to walk. She may not be able to talk. All those negative stuff, which of course I believe, uh, you know, that professionally doctors should be able to communicate that to their patients. And I had informed my pastor about this, and we're going from, so we're going doing hospital trips back and forth, and there was a problem. We're waiting to do the echocardiogram to check if there's a hole in the heart. Where, just and then that would be us preparing to go to India for heart surgery. And I started reading about. I had known about Down syndrome before I had my daughter, but then I started reading more. And when I googled, oh my god, I was so scared. I was crying every day, and I kept that with the high blood pressure. And then women in my then church came to visit along the line. Even during the naming ceremony, nobody could carry my daughter. Nobody could touch her. She was very floppy, very soft, like a rag doll. Like she even used to roll off my hands while we're breastfeeding. And those are some of the physical features of having Down syndrome. And then, they came and were saying something like, uh, that because I was transferred from that parish to another parish, but I was heavily pregnant. And only I know how I deal with my pregnancies with the help of God, how I carry through to the end. But I was heavily pregnant. I did not go for that transfer because I knew very soon I would have this child, and it was one of the pregnancies I was very sick in. um, Malaria, this, that, then my tongue. I don't want to even describe everything because I know now. I did not know then if what I knew now, I knew then. Well, I wouldn't have been able to change the baby because sometimes your purpose is found in your pain, and
Mm.
but I realized that I had too much amniotic fluid, and my
Yo,
tummy
yo.
was very wobbly, very very
Mm.
wobbly. And that means a lot professionally. If you're clinically, I'm not a
Mm.
doctor, but I know what that means. If you're having
Mm.
those symptoms, I will say, okay, run this test, do this to check this, that. So along the line, they were praying and say that while they were praying, this was in the beginning, that while they were praying, God said I should ask for forgiveness from the spirit of disobedience. I now called one of the sisters. She said, that's what they received from God. I told my husband, I said, they said when they came to greet, when women from church came, they said, I need to pray to God for forgiveness for the spirit of disobedience. And they did nobody touched the baby, but they knew they couldn't talk about it. Nobody wanted to talk about it. But then what they could talk about was for me, that have just had a baby, to ask God for forgiveness for spirit of disobedience, because they came to visit me because I've been doing back and forth trips to hospital after I've had my baby.
Wow. Claire, can we just stop here a bit? And someone has sent me a message, after the last show that, I should let my guest speak. But this is not just an ordinary show. I didn't come here to relay facts. I came here to also shine light on teaching points and teaching moments. And for me, this is one of those teaching moments. So you were pregnant and you were transferred. And when you were transferred, because you were pregnant, you did not immediately go on transfer from one parish or one worship expression to another. And when you had your baby, they came back to say to you that you need to pray for forgiveness because perhaps God is punishing you for disobeying the instruction to move. Here is where armchair ministers get to me, because I promise you that is not the stance of the church. No church sees it like that. No pastor or leader of faith who knows their onions sees those things like that. But you see, when people don't understand, they always want to hold forth for God. I promise you, those people, what they were trying to do was put you on the spot so that God is not held responsible for what you have gone through. So it had to be that we shifted, we made a mistake. That's why the things that are happening to us are happening to us. What if faith was just it? What if genetics were at play? How exactly does this have to do with obedience or disobedience? Because the last time I checked my Bible, if the Bible says God does not even desire the death of sinners, assuming that your not moving was a sin in God's sight, would he now come and saddle you? And I'm using that word for that in those people's mind, saddle you with a problem because you were disobedient. Wouldn't that be countering his word that says that he does not desire the death punishment, of sinners? He just wants us to come to repentance and come to the light. So on behalf of the church, I know it's been many years. I know you say you've moved on, but I promise you these kinds of things can leave traumatic scars in people. So this morning, on behalf of the church, we're saying we're sorry. We're an ignorant bunch of people, and sometimes we speak before we think. So please forgive us. You can go on with your account now. Yes.
Thank you. And I was left in the middle of, like, as if I was just being like, when you feel God, you're still asking why, and then someone just came to push you back into, okay, this is what you deserve. And it was a moment of loneliness for me, because I can't begin to talk about the rejection I faced, the stigmatization, and even moving to another church. And I remember when I went for a Bible study course, I was asking a lot of questions because I just wanted to know, not that I believed, because after that time, of course, I started seeing myself as, oh God, have I really sinned against you? But again, I remember that it's not, God will not punish me because of that, just like you said. And um there's so many pastors, so many Christians, so many, that have, how life has dealt with them. They have their own stories, they have their own, and they can ask why from now to tomorrow, but only God can tell why is, put us in that kind of, well, I won't say God has put us. I think it's just part of how our storyline, our destiny, and sometimes people believe that bad things should happen to bad people. But if you look at it very well, sometimes unpleasant things happen to good people. We cannot
Unplanned and unpleasant things.
plan.
Yes, they will be inconvenient in the moment, but this doesn't mean that God is not overseeing and still superintending over our lives. Because
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. We always think that when those kinds of things happen to us, that God went on a vacation concerning that particular person. But if that were so, where would we be? Why would we want to follow a God who goes on a vacation concerning me and he's not on his word after his word has promised that he neither sleeps nor slumbers? And then because he fell asleep, something came upon me that I do not want. Do I honestly want to go back and worship that kind of God? Our God is a good God every day. And even when these things happen, he sees them. He has averted many other things concerning us. If this one would be better used by him than averted, then he would use it. But let's move away quickly from that conversation. I want you to quickly tell us, how did you navigate? How did you get to the point where you realized that, okay, acceptance was what you should do, and then decide to thrive with what sought to quote and unquote kill you? At what point did you arrive there?
Well, thank you for that question. I didn't even have to stay in denial for long. The only thing that initially made me live in denial was the shame. How would I face people? What would I, because I was kind of hiding my child. Um, After the naming ceremony, I was saddled with the responsibility. Me and my family we were trying to run around to ensure that she gets the best of health. And
Mm.
eventually, when she was 3 months old, she was diagnosed with a hole in the heart.
Oh,
She had a
wow.
large pulmonary, it's called PDA. So we had to start running around, and then every day the doctor was asking me, "Ma'am, you have to go and do this surgery. Is your daughter turning blue? Does her lips change color? Is she, different questions?" They're just pointers to the fact that we needed to get the heart surgery done. And this, was me praying already that God just take away the features. I don't want to wake up to see that she has a slanted eyes. I don't want to wake up to see all those features. If you are God, in fact, if you know you are God indeed. Please take away. I was really praying for those things to go away because those were the things that made me hide that. What would people say? And of course, people were already saying stuff. We faced a lot of rejection, even in the hospitals, at airports, and everywhere we went to. Pregnant women would even know what to stay near us, um, especially because we were going to the hospital. Then we look at the baby, and people look, and when you know there's something wrong with some. I mean, you see the facial features. You look once, take a second look, and then you begin to stare to check. Oh, I've never seen this before. Oh, I've seen this before. Oh, this woman has this, and then you see the shame was just too much for me. But when I didn't stay in denial for too long because I had been with a child like that has Down syndrome in the United States 7 years before I had my daughter. So I'd been with him, I'd seen that, oh, he's a bubbly. That was my first direct contact with someone with Down syndrome. Such a loving boy, very bubbly, you could see the innocence, the pure innocence. And I was so struggling with breastfeeding with the health conditions of my daughter. And I definitely I stopped going to church that period. When she clocked uh 8 months, we went for the heart surgery. But guess what? Before she even clocked 8 months, I started taking her out like when she was 3 months, apart from the hospital trips. I started taking her out, and people were asking, why is her head small? Why are you still covering her head at 7 months? Why are you still wrapping her? What is wrong with her face? Why is her nose like this? Oh my God, it was a lot for me. But guess what? At that point in time, I told my friend then that they said she has Down syndrome. She said it's not true. I said it's true. It's true she has Down syndrome. I told my sister who is a doctor as well that, oh, she has Down syndrome. My sister just said, don't worry, everything will be fine. Because she's a doctor. She said, don't worry, everything. So I guess I started to pull strength from the fact that I knew God had not abandoned me, even though I was down with the high blood pressure at that moment. Because us rushing back to the hospital, the doctors had to sign that, ma'am, you are down with a high blood pressure. I cannot release you back home. And I told the doctor, I'm not seeing a little baby that is even definitely having more, just facing the world and now coming with this problem that, the doctor said, well, you have to go and bring your baby. And that was how I started, having hallucinations because I was always praying, God, just take away this pain, take away this, take away. Sometimes if you're going through pain, does not mean God is not in it. Like going through a storm does not
Let me
mean.
stop you there for a moment so that I'm not just watching you. I get to participate today. So sometimes when we're going through pain, so you started with God, take it away, God, take it away. And rather than take it away, you were told that she had to now have, and that she had a hole in her heart. She now had to have surgery. So it dawned on you that this is not even about the features. This is about keeping this child alive. This is about keeping this child alive. Let me ask what would be a heartless question, maybe, or yes, a point of view. Why didn't you just decide not to have the surgery so that at least you would have an excuse that that's why she died? Why didn't you do that?
Because I didn't think of that. I know this is happening to a lot of people. Like this question, in reality, I've been faced with so many parents because from my network, parents that have children with this and can't deal with it, don't even have the money. Who just, some who just say, whatever will happen should happen. Not that I want the child to die, but whatever should happen will happen. After all, I can't go and still, I don't have money. And some may not want the child again,
To leave, yes.
leave, or may not just want the. So, like you're saying, you're right, they may not do anything about it. But from what I've discovered, and because it happened to me, there is no way, if you're a mother, that you will not connect to this child. You know what she was doing while I was breastfeeding? She was looking up to me. Now, maybe I was able to pay more attention because I have been told she has this disability, this condition. Every time I was breastfeeding then, I would clean my tears because something would tell me as a mother that I've been through childbirth and had carried the child for 9 months that this child, what I could see in her face, please, I want to leave. She wasn't talking, but you can
Oh
imagine
my God.
her face. I would thrive if you
Mm,
can only believe that I will leave
wow.
because
That's that's crazy.
she will look
That,
at me. That wasn't my first time breastfeeding.
mhm.
You know, and that is when you have a child that they say you have a bouncing baby. It was then I now understood when
The
they say
different.
bounce. Oh, mom, is different. A bouncing baby. But having a child, having a baby causes you to rejoice. But sometimes, and for the most part, that I've come to know having a child, because I've had
So
many women cry on my shoulders. We've cried together because of the diagnosis at birth that, oh, your child has this.
so I am hearing you, and here's something I want to highlight for our listeners this morning. It is the fact that, even in those situations, even the children know. So, because I heard you say, as you were breastfeeding and you were observant and looking at this child, you could tell from the way the child looked at you, like, please let me live. I
Yes.
will try.
Yes.
Oh my God. Now, when you take a look at that, parents in this room, we have children. Our children don't need to beg us to leave. But here's the mother saying, even if she was going to be a cruel mother who would say, okay, well, if she has a hole in the heart, if we cannot afford surgery, if we cannot do this, if we cannot do that, then maybe let it run its course. Because we use all of these words to mask the fact that we're trying to hide what it is that in our minds is unpleasant. So, and this child, you can see from this child's eyes, her eyes communicating to you, I want to live. If you let me live, I will thrive. Wow.
This is a child that doesn't cry for food
Mm,
because of the weak muscles. And
mm,
sometimes doctors will tell you, oh, the hole in the heart, let's watch it to close. They told me she has a large PDA
cool.
that needs emergency surgery. And we were raising funds. I didn't even know I would be raising funds any day, anyways. Like, I didn't go to public, but I never ever dreamt about. And the first thing I did was just to, you know, resign my job. I went 3 months. I was supposed to return after maternity leave, but then I went to resign, and people were crying. Where are you going? We're looking up to you. Oh, Madam Tola, this is that. Because at that point in time in my career, I think God was ready to, you know, move me to the next level. Because I could already head that branch where I was working. I could work with the branch manager and work as a branch operations manager. But then people, all my subordinates were looking up to me, and I told them I was leaving the job, and they were crying. And that was when it dawned on me that I had to pay attention to my daughter because they said
Yes,
she
and
had
be
a
invested.
large
Mm.
finish. I was praying for people. In fact, I was praying. I told my pastor and some of them, yeah, of course, they were praying with me. And I've seen those kind of miracles before. You go back and say the hole has closed. I believe in miracles. Oh, trust me, my life is a miracle. My life is a miracle. That I could even have kids when the doctors had said, a doctor once told me, I think it was my third year waiting, Madam, you are not serious. Your tubes are blocked. Your this is blocked. It's only a miracle. And when you are ready, come back. You need to do this. You need to do that. Well, I just smiled, and then I used to ask God, if I if even if I'd lived like I'd well, sorry, forgive me for saying this. Even if I'd lived a bad, rough life, God, just have mercy on me. Let me have children. No. And I was just, so I really believe that what God wants to do, He will do. At that point in time, we started raising the money, putting the money together. I was selling off my jewelry. I was selling off. At a point, I was looking for house words like
How to
plates.
wear.
Yes,
Yes,
my
to sell.
nicest plates or pots or things like that to sell in addition to clothes because I had two businesses by the side. I closed one down, started selling off at cost price, selling off. We couldn't raise the money, selling off, waiting for my pay, just trying to scrape everywhere around and around. And the lady that used to come to buy my gold, I had the few then, used to say, madam, why are you selling all this gold? Why are you selling? She didn't know I was putting money together. And I told her, I said, I'm relocating, I'm moving. Even if it's to sell my pots and pans, I'm ready. Come and take a look at my kitchen. Check what you want to buy. It was that bad because I needed to support my husband and my family eventually now supported me and we went to India for the surgery when she was eight
And that
months.
surgery was a success
It was at 8 months old.
at 8 months. So here's the thing. Let me highlight this for our listeners again. So you are on a journey where you did not bargain for a child with disability. Let's say it that way. And yet here you were with a child who was challenged. And because of that challenge, others of us will think, well, if God is in this, then God will provide all the money we need for everything. And yet you had to make the sacrifice to sell off things before you found people, before your family and others came and supported you and you had the surgery. Till date, how many other surgeries have you had?
We've had five altogether.
You've
She's
had
had
five
five.
surgeries altogether, and none of them was free.
None of them was free. We are awaiting another surgery.
You're waiting another surgery. Why are you still doing this?
You know what I decided because I've seen worse cases. I've seen I've seen people of faith go through worse things, worse worse cases. And from my research as a professional, because I am a professional when it comes to having a child with Down syndrome, because I have gone in and out. I have communicated with even researchers. I've been in their meetings, and I've been able to carry many more hundreds of women that have this children, this particular diagnosis along. I have done, I've worked, partnered with people that have these children that are Americans that live in different parts of the world. And
Mm.
most of them are Christians. And even not all of them are Christians. It doesn't even matter because Down syndrome is not a respecter of ethnic, religion, race, or whatever you can imagine. It doesn't mean, oh, because we go to church every Sunday, this family, we cannot have a child with Down syndrome. No, no. So, according to research, the treatable the condition is a lifelong condition, but there's some things that would show up and are treatable. And research will tell you, oh, whatever is treatable, continue to treat. As a Christian, whatever is treatable, continue to treat, but whatever you want to believe God in for to take away,
So
believe God to take
let's
away.
stop there. Let's stop there, Tola, because sometimes we are, as believers, we don't take advantage of medical care early enough because we decide that a miracle means that we don't have to go through medicine.
Mm,
But here's what I want our listeners and our viewers to understand, that sometimes a miracle means that God has front loaded others with the knowledge and the information you need to navigate your peculiarities. So the person that gave you the counsel, as we know you are a believer and you are praying, continue to pray, but whatever is treatable, make sure you treat it. Which brings me to this hope that I want to draw out. In case there's a parent here who's been told, in early stages of the diagnosis for Down syndrome, it means that it's not everything that is Down syndrome that cannot be treated.
mm.
There are parts of it that can be treated. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. And it's very important for people to know this. Let me share a quick example. If you look at the features, because like I said, some of these things, I'm sorry to say, viewers, for those of us that are very spiritual, some of these things cannot be taken away. Just like someone that has cerebral palsy and has to use the wheelchair. You can't you can't you can't take away the wheelchair from the person that has cerebral palsy.
Hmm.
We're talking about intellectual disabilities and many other things would be affected, especially when it
Hmm.
comes to Down syndrome. There are about
Hmm.
50 features and other medical conditions because of um, um, the way their their the shape of their head. Let me explain now is different, and because it has been checked that when they have babies like this is what they see. It is similar across
Hmm.
board. The person that identified that it is called Down syndrome, Dr. Langdon John, Dr. John Langdon. There's down in his
Hmm.
name. His name is
Yeah.
John. Yeah. So he realized that some babies come with this brachycephalic head shape.
Hmm.
And what does that do? That changes the way the skull is. They have
Hmm.
smaller noses,
Hmm.
lower ear sets, slanted eyes. It is a feature. And it's not only Down syndrome, there are many other types of, about 13 types of disability. So you can imagine that already God has put research there, doctors there, to help us find out why are babies born like this? Why are some children like this?
So what I hear you say is the power of an education,
Yes.
that everything is not spiritual. When you are faced with things such as this one, make sure you read up. Don't bury your head in the sand and start to wait for the child to die so that you'll be free. So when there's, it's easier for you to say, oh, the child didn't leave, than, oh, we are taking the child through some process, you are on a journey with the child. The power of information. If the doctor says to you that something has happened or something has presented, your job, you don't need to be a medical personnel, but your job is to ask questions, read up, so that you can understand what you are faced with. And according to what I'm hearing you say, there's research, tons of research that help us see that these things exist and why they exist. And I'm sure they also give tips on what to do if you have a certain feature different from another person's feature. So again, believers need to understand that while we are spiritual beings, when we're on earth, 80% of our transactions and our dealings are physical. They are not spiritual. When I say this, people
Something,
don't.
I don't want
Yes,
to
sorry.
forget what I want to share.
Yes.
Even as believers, we must put in the work. When you, as a believer, you are praying, it is the work. It's part
Mm,
of the work because you can decide to be sleeping. But guess what? After you pray, you still go and sleep because you need rest. God will give you
mhm,
that rest, and you still
mhm,
believe your prayers will be answered. I remember
mhm,
when um I was trying to narrate, explain to you the what is called large adenoids, which is very common
mhm,
with them. If you don't
mhm,
know as a believer that you need to take that child to the ENT doctor, your child will suffer and die on that praying bed. I have had two calls at least, and well, two parents have called me that their child, I know that they need medical intervention, and they called me. She died on Onkosape Okulo. Sorry, I had to switch. Okulori bed, something like that. That child needed to have been taken to the hospital. With my daughter's experience, from my experience, I used to want to pray away a lot of things, but I stopped and I said, God, let your will be done. I'm praying she's going to have a good life. Some people tell me, don't you believe in God? Don't you believe in God? My pastor has told me before, don't you have faith? I was just explaining to him, my baby doesn't sleep through the night. Okay, so I will be late for this, or I will not be able to attend this because I needed to go and fine, tell him why I could not attend the program, something. I said, my baby will not be able to sleep through the night. A baby that has large adenoids. If you see my daughter then, like she doesn't sleep. And many people with this condition, many children, many young children, many, they would have this, it will worry them because it is an obstruction. I'm not saying God cannot take it away, but let us check what are the doctors saying about it. You can believe God from, you can even put in the work by going for a test. It was until we took out the adenoids, so large, it was obstructing oxygen, taking blood to the brain.
So back to that thing that I asked you, there are some of these symptoms and features that are treatable.
Yes.
The child may not be like every other child because that's why the child is special anyway. But the child can have a good lease of life. But I hope, because Dr. Peter said something, and I want to highlight that comment one more time. Dr. Peter said God looked for someone who would show his love to your daughter, and he found you. I thank God for your life, and God is proud of you. I want parents listening, even grandparents listening, that at the bottom of this is love. The capacity to love what we have received from God, rather than to see that what we have received is a punishment. Is that not what the conversation we are having?
Mm.
Because see, I don't want believers. The reason why Naked at Sunrise is for me is something that I really want to do, and I'm trusting God that a day will come and we will have tons of people watching and listening, is because believers have this misconception that once you become a believer, your life has to be perfect. And if your life is not perfect, it's either that you have sinned all of the time or God has abandoned you. When, like Dr. Peter is saying, God has seen something is gone wrong in a broken earth, and God is looking for those who can steward that situation at the best way that they can to the glory of his name. So if a child has large adenoids, Their natural children, in fact, a few weeks ago, someone was telling me that their child had to have their tonsils taken out.
Mm.
So if you have what in your mind is a regular child, as an 8-year-old, I had my tonsils taken out as well. But I am what you would call a regular child, isn't it? I'm like
Yes.
every other child should be. But that was causing me a lot of pain. When there will be, I'll have an infection. I couldn't eat for days. And my mother took me to the hospital, and ultimately they said, look, just take out the tonsils so that she wouldn't begin to have these issues reoccurring and reoccurring. Isn't that something you do? So even when you have a child who is special, isn't that part of care? As parents, are we not supposed to care? Why is it that we think that because our child is different or our situation is peculiar, that we don't need to do the work of care? Caring, at the bottom of this, for me, the foundation is love what you have received. Now, someone will sit there and say, well, you don't have a child like that. How can you not be talking? But ADETOLA has. And ADETOLA is telling us the same exact thing. Is that not what we're saying here today? So Tola, tell me, where are you now? What have you done because of Moi? How has the earth benefited from your experience?
Okay, thank you, Ma. We started early intervention when Moi was 2 months old.
Mm,
Um, there were some exercises I started to do from the knowledge that I had to do something, and the knowledge about early intervention. Um, because all I was trying to do was, no matter what, I would try my best to give her a good life. And that was all I was trying to do. It's not in my hands, though it's in the hands of God, but I know
mm,
that I must put in the work. I
mm,
know that I must put in the work. And it was very hard, it was very hard for me because I had to sacrifice a lot, you know. I started the early intervention and I realized my daughter was responding. You know, that's that looked like I want to thrive that I used to, I told you as a baby. She
mm.
continued that way. That tells you that people with Down syndrome or even disabilities, they love the same life we love. They may not they may not see themselves. In fact, they don't even see that anything is wrong with them. But
With them, yes.
as they grow, they know because we are talking about active participation for
Mm,
people with disabilities. We're talking about inclusion. We're talking about capacity. We're talking about intervention, early intervention. We're talking about individualized educational plan. Some people will say, what is special education? Why special? There's no special place for special people. What are you doing? Everything I did was in the interest of my daughter. Sometimes you want to be selfish, you want to take a break. It's okay. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to do it gradually, to start gradually, to do, the baby steps. And that was what we did. That's why today I can talk to parents, want to talk to me, and I can talk to parents and they can believe that, okay, apart from that, the fact that I have that child, I have done A, B, C. We've not got to Z, but even if we move from A to D, it is progress. Or we
it
move,
is great.
whether we move slowly, but what I want people to do is put in the work because that was what I did. Was it easy?
Mm,
No, it wasn't easy. But guess what? When you start and accept to do what you need to do to the best of your ability, you begin to
mm,
see things in another light. Because this person wants to live. And it's in your
yeah.
hands, it's your responsibility as a
Yeah.
mother,
Okay,
as a
so
father.
because of time, Tola, because we have 10 minutes, tell us about, in 2 minutes, tell us the work that more Rainbow Foundation does. because we want people to be able to give towards the foundation if they are enamored. We want them to be able to find out information in case they have this diagnosis and they're wondering where they can get information and get support, because I know that's what you do now. Tell us about the work of More Rainbow Foundation.
Okay, Morimbo started in 2014. We started with home visitation, and then we
Mm,
realized we could not go. I started that. I realized when God told me you can't do this. You can't go to 50 families. Let them come to you. And I was asking,
mm,
how will this be done? How am I going to
mm,
get the resources? So we started from a one room. I rented like an office space. That was a makeshift room for us. We were doing everything there. In that same room, we had the parents sessions, we had the sessions with the children, we had the toilet, we had it was like, oh, so God moved us amazingly from that place to a four-bedroom where we could now accommodate more children. And then again, God moved us to a big place where we have a nine-bedroom and a boys quarter, where that space, what we do there now is educational support, intervention, um different co-curricular activities, so speech, which includes speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, learning, and we've been able to produce teenagers that know their rights, like that are self-advocates now. And with the babies, we work with babies with Down syndrome because nobody was bringing out their young babies with Down syndrome when we started. I needed to show my daughter's picture, you know, for people to believe that, oh, this is the reality. So what we do now is we're looking for ways to include the teenagers, the young people. We're looking for ways to help them hold meaningful vocational jobs. And we're
mhm,
hoping to set up a social enterprise like a
mhm,
cafe. Already we
mhm,
have a vocational school because they
mhm.
learn all their vocations there, different
Yeah,
things they
wow,
can do. Yes, they learn all
wow.
different vocations there. They are speaking now, they are speaking up. They are the ones behind the cameras, behind the microphones now. We've brought them from the back burner to the front burner because
Mhm,
we want to actually ensure that they are actively participating because they want to add value to our community, and we can see that they are thriving, and they really want to leave. They want to have their flowers, receive their flowers.
mhm.
They want to be loved, they want to be
And they
praised,
want to contribute as well.
contribute, they want to hold jobs, they want to do things. They're just very eager people, and we just have to encourage that. So we started the vocational aspects. The vocational school is by the side, and for the babies as well, we help them go through early intervention. That is even our forte. Early intervention is very important because I can testify to the fact that it's helped my daughter. By the time my daughter was 3 years old, I was able to leave her to go on a trip because we've done a lot of work the first 3 years, and that's what I'm trying to replicate. And that's what I thought, okay, maybe if I supported other parents, I didn't even know we are going to start a school, but there was a huge gap. A lot of children with Down syndrome, they were home, they were not in school. They were home because they
Mhm,
had been stigmatized, they had no place in the school, in the educational system. They had no place. For the most part, teachers don't know how to deal with them, so they're just left behind in class. Either they are just put there to sit down or put there to just feed them and change their pampers. It's not all about that. So what we tried to do was to bridge that gap, close that gap, and we started doing grassroots awareness campaigns, enlightenment campaigns, going to different places where people don't even understand English, you know, and there people with we have to also understand that people that are illiterate have those children. Like I said, Down syndrome is
as
very
well.
irrespective of who
Mhm,
you are. So first project we did was to do an awareness work, which we tagged "No More Shame," and then
mhm,
people started calling in, and then we started reaching out to hospitals, general hospitals like Lassuth, Luth, and then families. People started calling in. I have this child, and at the end of the day, we just what we did was got those children, we adopted them, gave them free education, free tuition, free intervention, and we started off like that. And then now funding the project became a very huge problem. I was using my feeding money. Every time I have money out. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
All right, so now my producer is going to put on the screen the details for More Rainbow Foundation. What we want to try and do is do our best to help them raise some money. 2,000 naira, 500 naira, 50 naira, 1,000 naira, 1 million naira, 10 million naira. As the Lord would would lay in your heart, send to this account. The idea is that you can hear that there are disadvantaged families, illiterates who also have these children. So while the elites may be able to pay their way, the illiterates and the vulnerable or disadvantaged of society will not be able to. And these children just need as much of a chance as Monyolua Rainbow Foundation has. And so as Monyolua has received and all the other children receive. What have I learned with speaking with Adetola today? I have learned, number one, that God loves you and he's in your pain. I've learned, number two, that if you empower yourself within your pain, you will be able to thrive. I've learned, number three, that every child that is born wants to live. Whether you think the child is disabled or challenged, every child wants to live and every child wants to thrive. I found out, number four, what a thing I've learned from her today, that the counsel our parents gave us, the counsel our parents gave us, if you have nothing nice to say, keep quiet. The church needs to imbibe it. If you cannot say anything nice, make sure you keep quiet. Don't say a word, because you can't come and tell a parent who is already hurting to pray for forgiveness, because perhaps this has to do with their sin. So please, let's pay attention. Let's pay attention. Let's pay attention. But finally, is the fact that it is not a punishment from God. Sometimes these things are opportunities. These things are opportunities that we, if we take on, we can be a blessing to our world. Where consistently we'll continue to pray for Moi, that her next surgery that you're waiting to have, that it would again move her up the notches of thriving, that she would meet major milestones, that the Lord will provide for you, even as we share our widow's mite with you. And that everything that, what's her name, that God put Moi on earth to achieve, that she would achieve it. She will break every barrier and every boundary that men have put around her in the name of Jesus. As we're praying for her, please, the account number is still on the screen. Let me read it out if you can't see it. This is Monyolua Rainbow Foundation, First Bank PLC. Account number is 202 900 2665. 202 900 2665, First Bank. Please send your widow's mite there. It doesn't have to be 1 million naira if you cannot afford 1 million naira. But look at a comment from one of our listeners. She says, my sister has her own daughter who is now doing her NYC. Love and work of my mother made this work. Doctor says she will not live beyond 17 years. Guess what? She is now 43 years and she's our specialty. Hey, Moi, love you. Hey. Can you all see how pretty Moi is? Oh, we love you. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Can you see how pretty? Hey, Moi, how are you?
Fine.
Great, excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, our time has come to an end. We've had a powerful time with ADETOLA this morning. We've seen Moyi, so this is not up in the rafters. You can see the young lady walked in herself. You can see she responded when I asked her, questions. That's what happens when, as a parent, a Christian parent, you find yourself faced with this opportunity. You don't hide under the table and pretend that it is not happening to you. When you embrace it and you do the work and you make the sacrifices, I mean, just look at that young lady. I'm in love. Can you see?
She's going to be 13 next month, and
She's
she's
going to
talking
be
about
13
it
next month.
every
Can you
day.
see that?
She's talking about
Can
it
you see that?
every
This
day.
is the baby that was all wobbly. Can you see? Brethren, it is not a death sentence if you know what to do. And if you are a parent, say you have your child has been diagnosed with Down syndrome. ADETOLA, how can they reach you?
Okay, we have a WhatsApp support group
Mm-hmm.
solely for parents of children with Down syndrome, and there we
Yeah.
can draw strength from each other. I
What's
also
the number?
um, the
Okay,
number.
you don't remember. Okay, so don't worry about it. If you need to be in that WhatsApp support group, reach out to me. ADETOLA will share the number with us, and then we will share with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so
You can
much.
also reach out to me personally on IG. Going to my
Mhm,
DM, I offer free consultations sometimes as
mhm.
well. Yeah.
All righty. Thank you. My producer says time is up. We should get out of here. Thank you so much, ADETOLA. Perhaps after the surgery, we will come back, you and Moyi, and we'll have you on the show again so that we can track your progress. God
Yes.
bless you. Keep up the good work. We are proud of you. And whether here at any point in time that you need support, reach out. Even if all we can do is pray, we will pray. But I'm trusting God that we will be able to do beyond praying. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget the account number. Send what you can towards the Moyolua Rainbow Foundation. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you
It's been
very much.
such a pleasure to have you join us at Naked at Sunrise this morning. I'll see you in another fortnight with another guest and with another story that empowers. Remember, it's about faith, it's about authenticity, and it's about victory. You can be victorious even if your circumstances do not change. Thank you. God bless you, and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.